Hey, how's it going? I've got an illustrious panel of panelists here on the panel
Where are they?
at the first annual. Oh, Carrie Brown.
Oh, look. Carrie Brown.
What's she doing in her kitchen?
Oh, there's some people.
We invaded her space.
Yeah, we now have moved in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't
Temporarily.
read that, though, That's the problem.
And Carrie's gonna make us bowls of ice cream because she's the ice cream queen.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
Nick Byers lives in Chattanooga. Hello, Chattanooga.
Where apparently there is no longer any choo-choo.
Chattanooga.
No, there's not.
In the museum only. Yeah.
I'm assuming you can all hear us.
Do we have a topic, Carrie, that you're...
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
So
Ice
that's
cream.
what we're talking about.
This is the bi-weekly Ken and Carrie live.
Yes.
And because we're here, we're just going to eat ice cream.
Yes.
Excellent.
And you can all feel very envious as you
But-
watch us eat it. And the
but-
pixels just won't do the justice.
Since we do have like a huge amount of keto brain in the room, we should just have a Q&A
Yeah.
as well
Well.
as watch us all eat ice cream. So we have Nick Mailer. Nick,
Hello.
introduce yourself. Why
Uh,
are you here? Who
um,
are you?
Well, it's very philosophical, and I've got jet lag, so I'm a bit of a gadabout, and I talked about various philosophical things to do with keto in previous years. And this year, to prove that I can, I'm going to be talking about science
And he
and
also
statins and
talks
the
funny,
metabolic
like
pathway.
what I do.
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
Love.
Love. Yeah.
And then we have the beautiful Neisha, Nurse Neisha Berry, who you all know.
Yeah, I'm just here, to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid.
She's just here for the ice cream.
And the ice cream.
We're all just here for the ice.
Yes.
And then Dr. Ken Berry.
Hey guys,
Yay!
good to see you again. Welcome.
And then the sod father of the Ruminati, Peter Ballerstadt.
Hi.
So if you want to know anything about ruminants,
From which we get ice cream.
ask now.
Yeah.
If you want to know what a ruminant is, ask now.
Or just look it up in Wikipedia.
Or Google,
Google
it.
it.
Yeah, Google
Yeah.
It's fine.
And it is good because the ice cream is a ruminant product.
That's a fermented plant product.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So Peter,
Yes,
give us your elevator pitch on Peter.
on Peter.
What do you do? Who are you?
I'm a
Why
forage.
do we love you?
I don't know. It's a personal thing. Who can explain love?
Danny Vega's your biggest fan, and that's enough for me.
But he's certainly big. I'm a forage agronomist. I'm a ruminant nutritionist. I'm somebody who's had my own personal health journey by eating a diet that has progressively become lower and lower in carbohydrate since I started in 2007.
Okay.
And I try to introduce the various tribes that I run with. So I'm just coming from a tour of some agricultural folks and region and looking at operations, and I come down to Keto Fest and I get to have Sassy Goat ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Sassy Goat.
That's the one that's filling us with ambivalence.
Sass.
It's ice cream, but it's goat. You know?
Mm.
And it's sassy.
And
it's
goats are
sassy.
ruminants.
Goats are
Goats are
ruminants.
ruminants as well.
Yeah.
So I'm peering over here because I can't see from the
It's a
other
bunch of
side.
people.
Who all's made Sassy Goat and loves it?
Comment. Drop a comment. Or if you've had any of Carrie's ice cream, or if you've made Carrie's ice cream.
Carrie made.
Drop your favorite.
Carrie, whoever this Carrie is. Carrie made me my own flavor of ice cream, which was root beer float. Now she does root beer ice cream, but root beer float had the ripples of root beer going through it, and the vanilla and all that, and it succeeded.
Yay!
It did succeed. No root beer float tonight, though.
No root beer float.
No, sadly.
Peter.
Yes.
Actually, ladies first. Neisha,
Yes.
what do you want to try first? We've got 5 flavors.
Wow.
Do I have to pick one?
Well, you can eat all 5.
Tell the
Okay.
ladies and
Which-
gentlemen
which
what they are.
order?
Yeah.
What do we have again? Let's go through them again.
We have Vanilla Choc Chip.
Vanilla chocolate
which is
chip.
Dr. Ken's favourite.
Yes.
We have Mint Choc Chip.
Mint
which
chocolate
is
chip.
Nurse
Mine.
Neisha's
Yes.
favourite. We have Blueberry Cheesecake.
I think that'll be my
And
favorite.
Yeah.
we have Dirty Hippie.
Yeah.
And we have Sassy Goat.
If you were doing like a cheese tasting thing, you'd start with the mildest and move to the
Work
strongest.
your
So should
way
we
up.
work with that
So you
principle? So what's the mildest? least?
Vanilla chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great strategy.
It
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
work.
yeah,
So, and then I think
What
obviously,
exactly
the
is in
sassy
Dirty
goat's going to
Hippie,
be
by
Be
the
the
way?
last one. Yeah.
It's chai espresso.
Chai espresso.
really horrible.
It's horrible.
And yet, Siobhan Huggins
That makes it
was
attractive,
prepared,
doesn't it?
was prepared to marry you.
It
for
really
it.
is.
Just revolting.
Oh my gosh. That is.
It looks like ice cream. That's what's so
I
weird.
know it's the texture
Is that
and
a
the
taste?
like, everything.
We're also used to
I have to take a
keto products being as up.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but oh, this is lovely, just like when I used to have real bread. Whereas, you know,
And in a minute, lovely people, I'm going to come around there and answer some questions.
I'm going to
while,
sniff it.
while my panel
Smells of
tastes
vanilla.
the vanilla chocolate.
Oh, you're gonna be all professional about it and like
Oh,
smell
it
it
does.
and like.
No, it's got that proper
Yeah, that's
vanilla
vanilla.
ice cream smell,
Mhm.
not just
Oh
vanilla.
my gosh,
You know what I
it
mean?
does, Yeah.
Something like bringing back memories.
Yes.
Here goes.
Here it goes. Let's see.
I'm going to get appropriately
Oh
close
my
to you.
god.
No problem at all.
That's delicious.
Mm,
Absolutely awful.
yeah.
Why do you force us to eat this rubbish?
This is really bad. It's hot. It's like the worst ever.
It's disgusting. Never make this stuff. As you can see, none of us are wanting to eat
Oh
it.
my
No,
gosh.
no.
Mm.
So, what are the chocolate chips?
So the chocolate chips are from actually a company called Coco Polo sent me samples, and so these are their dark, sugar-free. I'll get the packet and read you the ingredients. I know my people like it when I do that.
Mm. Yes, it's homemade. It's homemade by Carrie Brown.
Man, I wish you were here right now. This is divine.
Is
She's
it good?
the ice cream
Well,
queen.
that's the point, because usually it's almost as good as proper. I know it's like as good
But
as
actually,
it
you shouldn't have spiritual experiences with too many people.
is.
So,
Okay,
Keep
so,
it small. Yeah.
Yeah.
so this is the samples that Coco Polo sent me, and they are 70% cocoa, sugar-free, dark. They've got chocolate liquor, non-GMO erythritol, inulin, which is extract of chicory root, cocoa butter, non-GMO soy lecithin, vanilla, salt, and stevia.
Fine.
So, and I was trialing these for the first time because I knew Neisha and Ken were coming. So,
Oh my gosh.
I don't have any problem with soy lecithin.
Well,
by
he's
the way.
almost done already.
There's so little. Yeah, of course I'm done.
I'm savoring.
No, you got work to do. You got like 5 other flavors.
4 more flavors to do.
oh, so
Carrie, they're saying they can't hear. Like, can you turn the mic up?
no, it's directional. So it's because they can't hear me.
Mm,
Oh, you have to talk straight into it.
Gotcha.
No.
Carrie
well.
needs to
Well,
adjust the mic.
There
Okay,
you go. I
so-
really hated it, as you can see.
So,
I think you got some like all over.
Oh yeah.
so Teresa, now Teresa Tempas, I met Teresa Tempas. I had dinner with her in Roanoke, Virginia, when I was hurtling my way towards Austin. And so, Teresa, the gentleman in the green is
Hello.
Nick Mailer.
That's right.
Very, very, very large English brain. Flew over from London yesterday and is going to talk.
Yeah, the rest of them
About
flew the day
statins.
before.
Is going to talk about statins at Keto Fest on Sunday.
That's right.
And then Neisha, I'm pretty sure you know. Yes, you know Neisha, you know Ken. And the gentleman in the blue is the sod father, Peter Ballerstadt. Knows more about ruminants than you probably ever wanted to know.
Okay.
And
Maybe.
and the great thing about Peter is that he's the one to head off those ridiculous vegan lies about how cows are going to fart us into oblivion. And all this nonsense. That's Peter's job, and he does a very good.
Say fart
It's
again.
my job to
Yeah.
fart us into oblivion.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
I go say nothing by command, so I get more ice cream. Yeah.
You say it so eloquently that it doesn't sound horrible.
Yeah.
Fart. They're
Fart
going
away
to
from
fart
me.
us into oblivion.
Fart. I gotta pronounce those R's.
Or
Oh.
If you go too much, you're a pirate.
Fart. Yeah.
Okay, so where's the settings? I'm going to see if I can turn up the volume.
Bump up the volume.
Other people were saying they could hear us fine, so maybe it was just those people.
So, but I can't even find the settings in here.
Mm,
Crazy thing here. Anyway, okay. Who's finished?
I finished.
everybody,
I think-
and now I
I
am.
think all of us.
Okay, so then if we're going up, we should
my
do
goodness.
minute
Minute
choc
snack,
chip
yeah.
next.
Wow. Yes, I think we should.
Good idea. And we've
Do you
heard.
concur, Doctor?
I do. I
Doctor.
concur.
Doctor.
Doctor.
I've also heard that mint stops the flies from biting you.
Right. So we'll have no fly problems. For
Yeah.
the
No
next few
flies
days.
on us.
No flies on us.
Did you use mint? Actual mint?
I grew the mint.
You grew the mint.
That's how it's done.
Yeah.
Homegrown mint.
Somebody said I look more awake than I did the other day. Well, I took a nap today, so that probably helped.
And also, you've eaten ice cream.
Yeah, and I mean, like, happy day.
This is Neisha's
Ice cream
favourite,
for
right?
dinner. Yes, it's my favorite. Oh, that's fresh.
That's what I like stracciatelle.
Smell that,
Ooh.
right? Oh my gosh. You
Real
can tell
mint.
that's real mint, yeah.
I
Thank
think
you.
maybe she did grow that.
It's not quite
Oh, yeah.
Oregon. It's not quite Oregon mint, but it's all right.
Connoisseur of the mint.
Let's see how the mint works.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly right.
Wow.
We can
That's
just,
just mint.
let's just stop here. I mean,
Mhm.
can we just?
I think we've won.
You can't because that would be to betray your final ruminant, the sassy.
Oh well.
So delicious. Now everybody knows you can grow mint in a pot on your back porch very easily.
You better grow it in a pot.
Yeah, keep
because
it in a
will
pot.
Spread.
It's a weed. It'll take your entire backyard. Then the cows will eat it, and then the flies won't bite the cows. But you can grow mint. It's easy. It's cheap.
Everybody asking for the recipe. Carrie has a whole book on ice cream. It's on Amazon and it's also on her website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Digital copies available on my website.
So she can
and,
post some links.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Post links.
And it's worth getting.
It's really a shame you're not here.
What are the, you've got like
But I
every
love my
flavor in there, don't you? Like,
Yeah.
pretty much
52.
52
52
flavors.
flavors.
Like, what is Baskin Robbins has nothing on her.
What's your worst flavor?
I can actually show
She's
you
5
the
short of
book.
Heinz, isn't she?
Baked bean flavored ice cream.
So for those of you who haven't seen it, there's the book. The KETO Ice Cream Scoop.
Yes.
Yay!
Buy that book.
The thing about the mint is it's got that fresh flavor. It's not that sort of like
Mhm.
cloying, too much
Yeah.
peppermint oil, not enough.
I normally don't like mint flavored anything, but this is real legit.
Well, it's so
this
fresh.
is so good.
It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's not even minty. It's like, it's just fresh.
Yeah. Triple.
Oh, Melissa, well done. You grow your own mint.
Good.
Somebody ordered your drink book.
Tampa Bay. Hello, Tampa Bay. Yum fresh mint. Yes. Oh, Katy, Texas. I don't know where that is.
Do you make it in a certain kind of ice cream maker?
So the ones that I have a few, but the one I recommend.
You have a special ice cream maker
It's not
drawer.
a problem. She can stop collecting them
It's
anytime.
Anytime.
the Cuisinart ICE 21 is the one I recommend for home use. I also have one of the compressor types where you can plug it in and it has a built-in freezer, so you can churn continuously. I actually prefer
Batch.
the other ones, the ones with the freezer bowl.
For our
21 cubic inch.
For our wedding, we got a wedding present of one with the compressor built in.
Mhm.
But having a tiny kitchen in London, it took up half the kitchen. For the once a year you made ice cream, so it went.
Yeah,
And now lives on a farm and roams around.
Yeah, I make ice cream a bit more than once a year.
Exactly.
And
your kitchen is the size of Siberia, so you've got plenty of room as well.
Yes.
So, does anybody have any questions for
Anybody?
anybody? Anybody who wants to know the ins and outs of ruminants?
No, you don't
Anybody-
want
Not
much
the
of
outs. Just
yeah. Not while we're eating, please.
Yeah. Well, no, we've just eaten some of the outs of ruminants.
That's true.
Happily.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Berry or Nurse
Yeah.
Neisha?
Make this out of almonds.
Right.
And then Nick, if you want to know actually anything about all kinds of weird
Or bits of
chemical
anything
things,
to do,
anything to do with anything,
logical
just-
stuff,
just
fallacies.
ask Nick.
You know, anybody talk nonsense, I can probably give you the tossy Latin name for the fallacy. You know, join in. but rather than doing that, why don't you all make some of this ice cream yourselves, and then you can join in with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carrie, within 5 minutes, they should have some ice cream, shouldn't they? It'll all freeze and set.
It'll be
Although some
fine.
people they use
That's all it takes.
some people use liquid nitrogen or whatever to then they pour it over the milk
yeah.
and then it makes it literally within seconds.
Right,
I'm not sure what the
so-
texture is like.
And that's one of the reasons why homemade ice cream is difficult, because we don't have the. So if you work, places like Ben and Jerry's will flash freeze in a way that we can't at home. They have like nitrogen
And
and
they-
machinery that can freeze ice cream
Very
like
quickly,
in
very
a few
deeply.
seconds.
And it
and
stops the
that's-
big crystals
it stops the
forming.
big
Yeah, yeah.
crystals.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we do the best we can with what we have, but you will never be able to get exactly the premium ice cream in a home kitchen, because we don't have liquid nitrogen and we don't have the flash freezing equipment that enable you to freeze it that fast. But
No.
it's pretty close, right?
Oh, it's
No, this is
Spot
just
on.
terrible. I'm not-
Everyone's bowl is empty, so I think that
Again?
speaks. Yeah,
There you
Okay, blueberry cheesecake or dirty hippie.
I think blueberry cheesecake first, because then you have your coffee to wash down the blueberry cheesecake, don't you? Now
This
what's
is
in?
very pretty.
So
it is
what?
pretty.
Oh,
This is the
wow.
first one that's got ribbons in it.
Yes.
Blueberries. And this must be healthy because of all the antioxidants.
Yeah, it's
Right.
the Yeah, very much
the
the
antioxidants.
the plant. Yes, it's
Oh, thank you.
I need some phytonutrients. Wow. Did you grow the blueberries?
I did not grow the
You've let us
blueberries.
down.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And so when you say it's blueberry cheesecake, does it also have like any cheese in it, or a
It does.
mascarpone?
No. And I'll tell you why no mascarpone. Mascarpone is, a lot of people don't realise that
It's like cheesy
mascarpone
texture.
tends to separate. If you over whip it or overbeat it, mascarpone tends to separate, which I mean, it tastes okay,
Oh
but it
my
looks
God.
very unattractive.
What's interesting is this one's got a different texture. It's more like cheesecake.
That's
It is
the point.
cheesecakey.
Mm.
Mhm.
So what's the cheese that you use? Wow.
Cream cheese
Philadelphia sort of.
This is-
and sour cream.
I'm
Very nice.
definitely going out of my macros right now, and I don't care.
No.
So Vicky is asking, I have very high cholesterol and I have thyroid trouble. I don't have any energy and want to sleep all day. Yes, overweight. Is this life change good for me?
absolutely. Keto is the diet you need to focus on, and at least start there. And if you have to go there slowly, it's fine. If it takes you a month or two or three to transition from what you're eating now to keto, but definitely you need to start moving that direction.
So Vicky, that was a very clear, easy answer.
And because I'm not a doctor, I'm allowed to give advice.
Mhm.
I would advise that watch what happens over the next few months, particularly to your triglycerides and to your HDL.
Mhm.
If your triglycerides start going down, particularly if they go below 100, and if your HDL goes up, then you're moving in the right direction. And who then cares what's happening to your LDL?
Yep,
That's
exactly.
That's what
So
I
we
say.
have a cow question.
Oh,
We have a cow question for the softball.
Luckily, we have.
Let me have that while I
Up.
read the thing.
Please.
And then, so Sherry Nower from Westchester, Virginia.
Oh,
I had coffee with Sherry on my way to Texas, and anyway, so she said, "Peter, why do the black cows run away from me, but the black and white cows and brown cows are curious and come over?"
We were just talking about this the other day on Twitter.
Yeah.
Those black cows, man.
well, I'm not sure that there's a real scientific explanation. One thing might be that dairy cows are used to being handled on a multiple times a day basis.
For obvious reasons.
And also, yeah, to be milked. I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume. And and they're temperament is something that gets selected for in breeding.
You don't really kicked in the head as you try.
Yeah, so the cows are gentle and the bulls are sods, but you don't need to deal with the bulls too often. So that might be one explanation.
So Peter, are you going to show us the secret sign?
No,
You
it's
and
secret.
Dr. Ken, I
It's
think
a
you should
secret.
demonstrate the secret Ruminati
You
sign.
have to become
You have to be a member.
initiated into the Ruminati.
Yeah, these people have not.
It's something that has to be done in person. It really doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also might breach certain Facebook
Protocols.
terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah,
get
best
reported.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could get reported.
Yeah.
Secret.
Okay.
What are you in jail for?
So Jolene, this is another one for Dr. Ken. Jolene wants to know how much CoQ10 should you take?
It depends. If you're over 40, or if you're taking one or more prescription medications, then you probably need somewhere between 200 and 400 milligrams a day. Especially if you're taking a statin, you need 200 to 400 milligrams a day. You want to jump in?
But no, I'd agree because I mean your body does manufacture CoQ10 rather well. It's got a factory that does that, which I'll be talking about on Sunday.
But
But
most
if-
people, as they get older,
The
they
factory,
don't-
yeah.
the factory slows down.
And also, if you're bombing your factory gates with a statin, then
Right,
you're not
exactly.
making any in the
And-
liver.
Right, and statins are the worst for CoQ10 destruction or lack of production. But other prescription drugs as well will definitely decrease your CoQ10, and so at least 200, if not 400 milligrams a day. And some authorities say that you should take 200 milligrams per prescription pill that you take a day.
I've got a question. Is there evidence that taking CoQ10 exogenously, we can absorb it from our gut? Because it's not the usual way our body would do it. It
No,
usually
exactly
manufactures
right.
it inside.
No,
So,
that's-
I mean,
that's
does it
valid-
actually survive the
Valid
gut?
question. I don't know if anybody knows the answer
No.
to that, but if we're doing something that we know is destroying it, then I think a best effort to put it back
Yeah.
as best we can. And I don't know if anybody's done that study.
I mean,
If
obviously,
we're not going to stop destroying it.
right? Yeah,
I
that would
would,
be the other alternative. Yeah.
I would say if you're producing a lot of cholesterol, you're probably also manufacturing CoQ10. And if you're stopping yourself from producing cholesterol with a statin, you're also stopping yourself producing CoQ10. And CoQ10 is used for a lot of stuff. It's not just, I thought until a few weeks ago, I thought it was just one thing. It does so many things in your body that are important.
Somebody described the whole synthesis of cholesterol like it's one branch of a tree,
Yes.
and statins take the trunk.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'll be talking about.
Yes.
It's the mevalonate pathway. You stop that, and you stop dozens and dozens of and the one I'm actually going to be going in quite detail about how one molecule gets produced, and then it goes into an enzyme
45 minutes.
that produces another one. And the reason I'm going to go in that detail is you look at the trouble your body gets into to try its best to make this cholesterol stuff. It doesn't just go, oh, boom, oh, no, this cholesterol suddenly fell on me. It is the most intricate. And when you watch, I'm going to get it, but when you watch squalene, which is the thing that comes just before cholesterol, cyclize and suddenly turn into all these different rings and then produce cholesterol, or lenosterol as it is at the time, you think the body is doing almost acrobatic miracles to get this stuff, and we dare just to then bomb the factory. It's kind of almost sacrilegious. But sorry, I went off on one.
So Nick, Lynn Anthony asks, are statins ever necessary? I'd love to stop taking Lipitor.
So I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. And so anything we're talking about here at our ice cream social is just us talking, right? So this is not medical advice. Everybody knows that, but I have to say that. So with that being said, this is a woman who asked this question.
Mhm.
To my knowledge, there's no research that shows that any woman on the planet should take a statin.
Correct.
Okay. Actually, all the research, when you crunch the numbers properly, show that the higher a woman's cholesterol is, the lower her chance of dying from any cause, right? Like it's very safe for a woman to have high cholesterol. It's actually a good thing. It's
Especially as you get older.
yeah, and especially an older woman needs high cholesterol. In men, the research looks like kind of background noise. It doesn't really do anything good or bad. The only subpopulation of humans that might benefit from taking a statin is an older man who's had a previous heart attack.
Right.
Maybe a statin benefits that patient, but any woman who's been told that she needs a statin and that research proves it, I would say, show me the study.
But I have to say that I can't think of any circumstance where I would take a statin.
I agree.
I would never, because even the thing that the statin is purported to do, which,
Right.
you know, look, if none of us here believe that it's simply because it's cutting back cholesterol.
Right.
So then we invent lots of other mechanisms. Oh, it's because it's anti-inflammatory, because it produces nitrous oxide, all these things. Actually, there are far better ways of doing all
of that,
those things
yes,
anyway.
Absolutely.
This ice cream, compared with eating Ben and Jerry's, is doing more than a statin would do over time. It really is. Just eat meat and vegetables at night, and don't have a slice of bread or sugar in your tea, and you're doing more than a statin would do. So for the minute effect it would have, and even the most cooked pharma data,
Right.
and it's all lies because they hide statistics. If you read if you read Peter Goetsch's book about what the pharmaceutical company does to data, you'll never trust a study again. But let's take even their best data that they're trying to shove down our throats. The difference is minute. Yeah. And we know that just cutting down, getting our HbA1c down is going to have a much stronger
Absolutely.
degree. And
Yeah.
that's got real data, like Dr. Kraft showed. You know, really, your heart attack is driven by the same thing that drives diabetes, and you want to cut that.
Plus, it's not as if you're getting no benefit for financial cost. It's coming with significant additional negative effects.
Yeah.
And so your risk of developing diabetes or dementia is greater than any possible benefit. And so that becomes, and again, I'm not that kind of doctor. I am staying at a Holiday Inn tonight, but not that kind of doctor. So, but the point is that the literature is available. What is it's the NNTT.org, I think, is the number needed to treat.
Number needed to treat,
yeah.
You just Google that,
and you can go look for that site. Most medications, a lot of procedures are listed in there, and tell you from this source how many people would need to be treated in order for one person to benefit, and also gives you a sense of how many people are likely to be harmed. Yeah. And you know, again, if you look at the effect of an appropriate diet versus a pharmacological approach on some of these conditions,
blows it out the water.
Exactly. So plus you get to eat this.
My grandmother, when she was 92, was told by a doctor, her GP, to go on a statin because she had high cholesterol. 92. Wow. I told her don't do that, and she told the doctor that she wouldn't. She's now 97, and I said, well, you know that bladder infection that you had when you were 94, you probably wouldn't have survived it if you'd have cut your cholesterol down.
So I think this is true, and we can check with the doctor, but and I know it's difficult to face your doctor and maybe push back, but it is possible to not accept prescriptions.
It is, yeah.
And in some cases, it may be changing, but I know from personal experience in our family, there was a situation in which when the person said, I no longer want to be taking this medication, the doctor said, okay. And the person was expecting an argument. And what I suspected is, and you can confirm this, is if you show up and you have a number that's outside of a range on the report form, and the physician doesn't offer a prescription,
Right.
then that physician has just exposed themselves as not being standard of care. But if the patient declines, that gets noted and everybody's happy and
patient
good.
refused therapy, patient non-compliant, but then you're off the hook. Who cares what he wrote in the chart, right? But another thing you can do is just take the prescription and nod and smile and say thank you, and then when you walk out, throw it in the waiting room garbage.
But there are reasons not to do that, because then the statins companies say, oh, you see, there are fewer side effects. because people aren't getting side effects because 2/3 of them are throwing away their prescription.
Right.
So you know,
Documented
right.
that they're taking
yeah.
it.
Exactly. But that's way better than taking it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
And look, if you want to know how statins work, if you've got a subscription to the Keto Fest thing, or if you are if you're going to be watching it on YouTube in a few months, my talk's going to be on Sunday. It's called the Mevalinate Monster versus something, or I don't know, whatever. It's got mevalinate in
Something
it.
like that.
It's got mevalinate, and it's about me. And there are like pretty animations showing you what the molecules actually do. And then ask your doctor to watch it, and then ask your doctor why he doesn't want you to be producing CoQ10 anymore.
yeah.
So there was a question from Jen Brousseau which scrolled up, and I can't read it now, but it was quick, and it was, when you're taking D3, is there something else you need to take with the D3 to make it more available?
Well, vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. And so most of the time it comes in a gel cap with an oil, and you want to try to get the one with olive oil, not canola or soybean oil. And but you need to take it with an oil. And so if you happen to have vitamin D that's like a dry, chalky tablet, then take it with a spoonful of olive oil or avocado or butter. You just need an oil
In a chunk of butter,
a chunk of butter, yeah.
Or ice cream.
Or
Like
ice
you
cream.
do with the dogs when you're warming them. You put it in a chunk of butter. I would take a pill if you did that.
What do you think about people who say that you should take K2 with D3 to make sure the calcium goes to the right place? Is the evidence strong enough for that? Because
Well,
K2 is mighty expensive, and if you
yeah.
don't like natto, you're in trouble.
There's
or foie gras.
I haven't found a lot of research, but it's a very attractive theory.
Yeah.
And there may be something to it, but I haven't seen a lot of research. And when people ask me about it, I'm like, sure, take vitamin K, MK7, but I haven't seen any convincing research.
Okay.
Have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's mechanistically
It makes
convincing,
sense, yeah.
but it's not. There's no data because I mean, most people. I have to say, I'm sorry to diss your profession, but I've spoken to enough doctors that don't know.
Oh,
K2
most doctors
exists.
don't know what
They
that
think
is.
they think vitamin K is just the blood clotting
That's
vitamin,
right.
and that's it.
That's right.
No, there's another one. Is there? Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
and you have to then teach your doctor.
Goat.
Oh.
What's up next?
Sassy
It's time for the sassy.
Sassy Goat ice cream.
Yeah.
Don't you wish you were here?
You see, if you
Also very pretty.
if you
pretty
made ice cream with Gouda or Gouda cheese in it, then that was have vitamin
We
K
say
too.
Gouda.
We
Let's say Gouda.
Gouda,
On this
Gouda,
side.
Hold up.
Gouda. That's got quite a lot of K2 in it, and it's cheaper than foie gras, although not as tasty.
No, it's not as tasty. But this looks
This is the
amazing.
I've never had this
Does
sassy
it get the
Sassy
smell? Does
goat.
it smell like a goat?
Oh, this is amazing.
Sassy goat. What's in sassy goat? It's a
Ooh.
strawberry compote.
It's goat cheese ice cream studded with fresh mint and rippled with chunky strawberry compote. That's
Just
what
a
Sassy
hint
Goat
of the
is.
goat. Like it's almost right after you get it down.
Yeah,
It's
that's
So
like-
you won't like this. No, don't.
Just a bit of a goatee aftertaste. Yeah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that.
Not in a bad way.
Yeah. The cheese
Yeah.
aftertaste.
Yeah. Goat cheese. Oh, yeah. I see what you're talking about. You've been in the pasture too many hours.
That's guilty.
I like the fact that it's like feta cheese, but I like the fact that it's still kept some of its almost savory saltiness,
That's
which
delicious.
mixes really nicely with the strawberry.
Do we like the Sassy Goat?
Yeah, that's delicious.
Yes, we do.
It was somebody's favorite, wasn't it?
Oh,
Who
my
you knew?
goodness.
I think the first time they tried it, they said that's it. They didn't need any.
Oh, so one of my taste testers, who came to my house, I had like 10 flavors, and I gave her a scoop of Sassy Goat, and she refused to test anything else. She just said, I just want more Sassy Goat. So yeah, that was one of my taste testers. So let me see if we've got some more questions. Lots of people. Yes, we will. Sue asked if we would post Nick's talk, and we will when it's available. We'll post Nick's talk everywhere so
Happy
that
to
you
do
can
that.
talk about it.
And what it tries to do is it explains it in a fairly technical level, so you'll know what all the scary words mean. And maybe then you'll be able to say to your doctor, So, Doc, what have you got against my 3-hydroxy-3-methylglutarol coenzyme A reductase then? And then if your doc can't answer that, then you know you need to get a new doc.
And have these people been introduced to Dave Feldman and what he's been doing?
Some of them I'm sure
Okay.
have, but some not. I tried to get Dave to come here to eat ice cream, but he's not here yet.
He's in the Ancestral Health Symposium as we
And he's
speak.
coming Saturday, but I'm going to try and get him to come here, or maybe we'll take ice cream to New London and ambush him.
The one wonderful thing that Dave has taught us all is, and reminds us all, is that all those little boats that carry around cholesterol are primarily there to carry around energy, and the cholesterol just comes along for the ride in case it's needed. So we've been so scared of all these little boats, these LDL particles, when in fact they're just doing another job. And when you're eating stuff like this, full of fat, then of course when the fat gets stored and then the liver needs to transport it around, what would you expect? It's going to produce more boats. That's the way things are supposed to happen. We shouldn't be scared of it.
Okay, so Steve asks, since we're talking about LDL, Steve asks, Dr. B, are small dense LDLs still dangerous? Does it add to plaque? I realise cholesterol isn't totally harmful, but I'm curious about just that one part of LDL.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about LDL cholesterol or any of the subparticles of LDL. Like, I haven't seen any research that makes me think, and I think Nick said it very well. Why would you want to focus on something that might give you 0.1% increased risk of
If
heart
it
attack,
even
maybe,
did, yeah.
and ignore your hemoglobin A1C, your insulin metabolism, your inflammatory markers, which are the bulk of your risk for heart attack and stroke. And so it's almost biblical. Your doctor is straining on a gnat, but he's able to swallow, right? You see what I'm saying? And so don't worry about the LDL. Stop worrying about that.
An interesting thing, I think, the ketavans, which a lot of people who love carbs go on about, because these ketavan people eat relatively high carb diet, but they don't tend to have the heart attacks and strokes that people in the West do. So we have to accept the ketavans as special, and we accept them as a population for researching. What Ivor Cummins found is the ketavans also have very high ApoB, very high LDL particle levels, as high as or maybe higher than American, where it's considered dangerous, and yet they don't have the events. For me, that's called what we call a black swan. It's falsified the hypothesis. You can't then talk simplistically about saying, oh, just having more particles is going to kill you. Maybe having more particles will damage you, but I think you need something else to be the case. Probably hyperinsulinemia, remnant cholesterol, all the things that Dave Feldman talks about. And that's all caused by eating a lot of crappy sugars and bad seed oils, basically. And if you cut those out, I wouldn't worry as much, but maybe I'm being a fool.
I agree.
So a few people are asking where we bought the ice cream. We didn't.
Baskin Robbins.
We didn't buy the ice cream. I made all the ice cream and it's all made from my keto ice cream scoop cookbook.
Let's show that again. Where is your book? I think we should show it, because you can buy the ice cream, but you have to buy it in word form first.
Yeah.
Some assembly required.
You have to earn your ice cream.
All the ice cream we're eating, I made from this book, and it's available in digital
Yeah, the book used to
or
be
hard
much bigger.
copy. Yes.
But
Yeah.
we made ice cream out of some of it.
Okay. So, what else? My child. Oh no, that's an answer to somebody else. Sorry.
Wow, brilliant.
How old is that young man on the left, and is he a doctor?
That's you.
No,
That's you.
No, I'm not a doctor, I'm afraid. So and how old am I?
How old is your youngest child?
My youngest child is 8.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
that's good enough,
I don't.
right?
I'm a bit worried about actually giving dates of birth and
Yes,
so, because then, what's your social security number and what's your mother's maiden name? I just want to know.
Metric years or
It's just
English?
because you look 16.
Yeah,
Nick,
no,
So
That's what
Nick,
it's keto. It's keto. Yeah.
Nick's youngest child is 8, so
Yeah.
that'll at least give you the sense that he's not a teenager.
Also only child is 8.
Oh, only
yeah.
child is 8. So
Yeah.
yes, so that's Nick. Oh, a question from Adelaide, Australia. Here we go. Having just eaten a bunch of ice cream. Not confusing pooing less with constipation. And it still happens. Going every 4 to 5 days usually. I do use magnesium tablets. Eat really great keto. Any suggestions?
But no symptoms of constipation, just
Right.
not going very often.
Right.
Well, we're not ruminants.
It's considered normal in medical practice if somebody goes anywhere from 3 times a day to every 3rd day. Those are considered completely normal unless you're having pain, you're straining, you're bleeding, you're having some kind of negative symptom with your bowel movements. So if you're going every 4th day and you feel okay and you feel fine and everything's great, it's probably normal for you.
Just go with it.
Yeah, just go with it.
And
Sorry.
if you absolutely feel that you need to spend more time in the lavatory, then have more coconut oil or MCTs. That'll help.
MCT will make you.
MCT.
Or maltitol. Lots
Yeah,
of ways.
maltitol. Yeah.
If you're
Eat some
missing
Atkins bars.
if you're missing the loo, there are ways to get back there, but I wouldn't
Right,
recommend most of them.
But if you're not having any problems, any pain, any symptoms, then congratulations. You don't have to poo as often.
What was the quote about nobody gets an award? There's no award at the end of your life for the number of bowel movements you had.
There's no gold star.
Yeah.
There is an award for the biggest poo while you're a teenage boy. But then after that,
Yeah.
there's no,
Yeah.
it's not anymore.
But you're right. People do treat it as if it's like
It's
some
like a-
metric. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling fine, but I haven't visited something. I think I get the picture of everything backing up. And
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so bipolar, my favorite topic. Anita asks, she's bipolar 2. She's on 300 grams of Seroquel. Will I be able to get into ketosis? Seroquel can cause high blood sugar. Right now, my daily fasting blood sugar is around 120 to 130 after 6 weeks after starting keto.
Yeah, you should probably be able to get into at least a light ketosis. But more importantly than that, I don't want you to focus on that. I want you to just focus on eating real, whole ketogenic foods, because that's good for you in thousands of ways, not just about being in ketosis, right? Don't worry too much about that. Just worry about eating good, lots of healthy, high-fat foods, lots of moderate proteins, and try to keep your carbs really, really low. And maybe in another few weeks or a few months, you could talk to your doc about maybe adjusting that medication down a notch.
And I would, as you're building your diet, I would emphasize animal source proteins to make sure that the protein that you're getting, your body can use.
And I think that Amber Ahern is talking about the benefits of this diet beyond just producing ketones. And I think she's talking about that at Keto Fest, actually. I think that's important. We're not just chasing bowel movements. We're not just chasing beta hydroxybutyrate. Yeah, exactly. And I think, for example, Amber only eats meat, and she could probably have higher ketones if she ate lots of coconut oil or something, but she doesn't want that because her mental health was helped by the meat, not necessarily by pursuing the highest ketone value.
So this is for Dr. Berry. I have left a BPA-free water bottle in the car. Is the bottle ruined forever or just the water in it? Same for Tupperware that has been in the microwave.
Definitely don't drink the water that's in it. And if you guys are worried about plastic, you should really read a book called Estrogeneration. Is that right? Estrogeneration. Yeah. Great book. And there's more to plastic than just BPA. There's BPS. There's all these different chemicals that are just as unhealthy as BPA. And so definitely don't drink that water. And I don't know, I guess once the plastics cool back down, it's probably stable again. But anytime plastic heats up above body temperature, makes me very nervous to drink out of that.
You could just get a glass water bottle.
Yeah,
There's plenty
yeah.
of them now, and they come with like a rubber thing on them. So
metal.
if you drop them there, or
Or
stainless
metal,
steel,
yeah.
there's plenty of other
Or
options.
ceramic.
Or
Yeah,
ceramic,
yeah.
You
Yeah,
have
just
to
try
do
not to drink
plastic.
out of plastic at all if you can help it. I know you may have to buy your water maybe in plastic, but then you can immediately transfer it to something else.
I think the fact that you can taste water that's been in plastic and
That should
it's
tell you
it's
something.
telling you
Yeah.
something. Yeah, those molecules have come tickling your tongue from somewhere.
But I wonder if you rank this disruption that's potential
Mm-hmm.
against the insulin dysregulation.
Right.
And in terms of, the treating the elephant,
Mm-hmm.
again,
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So drinking water out of hot plastic containers, that's a thing. But what Peter's getting at is much more importantly is focus all your resources, focus all your energy and your effort on eating a ketogenic diet.
And don't use that as an excuse to go and buy a can of Coke.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't, yeah, that's right.
Well, there you go. It's
That's
healthy
right.
now because it's not all plastic.
It's in aluminum, so it's
Yeah.
better. But the aluminum cans are also lined with BPA.
Yeah.
So.
There was a question about nitrates, and I thought that is like, I feel like you guys would probably
Yeah,
have a lot
let's
to
talk
say
about
about
nitrates and how
so
dangerous
go
they
for
are.
that.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
for nitrates.
Well, you better not swallow your spit because
Yeah.
that's got nitrates in it. And don't eat any broccoli. Don't eat any mushrooms.
spinach.
Yeah,
Don't eat
celery.
any-
Celery is very dangerous.
Celery is very, please.
Oh, and this is dirty hippie.
My favorite story about the nitrates was, I've told this before, on the BBC News website. Dangers of sodium nitrite and nitrates that are used to cure meats, that have been used to cure meats since at least
Yes.
Roman times, if not
Right.
before.
Right.
And that's what they told us about. Next week, there was an article about this miracle molecule that takes down our blood pressure and is wonderful. It's in beetroot. It's in
Yes,
beets.
yes.
That these molecules are called nitrates.
Yes.
Same within like the
molecules,
same
yeah.
week, same molecules. Demon or
Yeah.
this really annoys me because this is like the heart of
And
this
I've been
appeal
doing
to nature
research
rubbish.
on this for a YouTube video. And basically, when you see a processed cured meat that says nitrate free, that's a lie. Okay, because what they did is they used celery juice or beet juice,
celery salt, which has
celery salt,
much more nitrates in it,
which
than
is
normal
full
cure.
of nitrates.
Right.
So it
But
still
a
has
much higher
nitrates.
concentration.
Yeah, but now let's talk about your saliva. Who wants to take that one?
Well, I
Since
just,
we're salivating
Yeah,
over this ice cream.
I'd just like to add a little bit more to
Okay,
that last
go.
bit. That when they take beet celery juice or sometimes they'll say sea salt, that let's think about it. You're going to dehydrate celery juice. You're not extracting all the other elements that come in celery juice to just produce nitrate.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting far more other compounds being added into this product.
All the other endogenous pesticides, for example.
Indeed, or arsenic that might be accumulated based on the soil it's grown
How
on.
dare you diss vegetables? They would never.
Absolutely. So you've got that going for you. Now you also have far better quality control today than we had earlier, and far more precise control because people don't put more in than they need to because they're saving money.
That'd be a waste of money.
And you use
Indeed.
less sodium nitrite, and it's very pure. And that's why when people go, "Oh, don't eat," only eat whole foods, and that's fine. But then they diss processing as if it is inherently evil.
Right.
No. Some processors are very useful and very good.
Processed animal products and processed plant products are not equal
That's
because they're
exactly.
both processed.
Just because they rhyme
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're the same. Now, do you want to? I bet you know a little something about what the federal government says about the nitrate content. What's allowed to be put in processed meat? It's on the order of
I know I've seen it, but
It's
I
like
don't have it in my head.
parts per million.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like it's minuscule, and so you have more nitrates in a stick of celery than in the hot dog. There's more nitrates in the beet
I
greens.
think there's an order of magnitude more. than this. I
Exactly.
was
It's not just
surprised
a
to
little. It's
see
like
it.
100 times more.
Yeah.
And the worst offender of all is your saliva.
Don't swallow.
Don't swallow your own saliva because it's full of nitrates. So so you're like, well, what the heck? I have to swallow my saliva. So we're kidding about that part. But what the point we're trying to make is there's nitrates in everything, everywhere.
And they've been shown to be essential.
And they've been shown to definitely not be dangerous. So stop worrying about nitrates. Don't worry about that. Just eat your meat.
Yeah, and if it's a hot dog, worry about it if it's full of starches and sugars.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it otherwise.
Right.
Or if it's on a bun served with French fries.
Yes,
Right.
quite.
And a great big sugar drink.
Yeah. Then maybe don't worry about the
A
parts
hot
per
dog's
million.
probably not your problem.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
That's what you're
The
eating.
and certainly not the parts per million grain of sodium nitrite. Oh, that's I better avoid that and have a Twinkie instead. That's got no
and
nitrates.
yet there's this thing called nutritional epidemiology that's going to blame everything on the hot dog
Processed meats,
and ignore right.
or as we call it now, processed and red meats.
Yeah.
Processed and red meats.
Processed and red
Now
meats.
it's all meat, all red meat.
Yeah.
So yes, we are eating ice cream for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like so full. Somebody said it's very filling. You're not kidding. Like it's the
This is-
richest. Oh, it's so good, but oh my gosh.
And I'm glad Neisha's
So
full.
what do we think about the dirty hippie?
Well,
It reminds me of something.
Yep.
I like it. It reminds me of Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
see
it's
what
the chai.
It's a
in
really
it.
excellent
Yeah.
coffee ice cream.
I don't usually like coffee flavored stuff.
Mhm.
Except coffee.
Yeah, no, that's not right. Coffee, okay, but coffee flavored, no. You got the balance right between not being obnoxiously coffee-ish,
Mhm.
but with the
Very
chai,
tasty. Very tasty.
chai
Very,
really
that
helps.
was a fan favourite, the dirty hippie. Actually, there's not a lot of dirty hippie left because Siobhan Huggins was here last night
No.
and she ate nearly all the dirty hippie
And,
ice cream.
and proposed marriage.
And proposed marriage to me.
Is this some influence from your previous place of residence that you got the flavor here just right? Is that
No,
Yeah.
so
Northwest.
actually, I made in my hardcore, in my low carb days, a dirty hippie latte was my favorite coffee. And so then I decided I wanted to make dirty hippie ice cream because I just love the flavor of, that was my favorite latte.
I have to say, it's either the blueberry cheesecake was really good. I think that Sassy Goat is probably my favorite, although that mint chocolate chip was
That mint was-
awfully
yeah.
No,
good.
I have to say there's something about the fresh simplicity of the mint chocolate chip won me over tonight because it was just so fresh and clean and joyful. That
You're
yeah.
welcome. That was my
So
pick.
your
Yeah.
favourite was the mint,
I didn't think it would be, but it was because of the freshness of it.
Neisha?
Mint.
The mint?
Sassy Goat, and then a
Yes.
close second was the blueberry cheesecake.
I thought the blueberry would be your number one.
And yours was
Sassy Goat.
Sassy
If you
Goat?
put the blueberries in the Sassy Goat,
Actually, you know what?
that
I
would be
think
the
I think
best
my
way.
I think if you
second
just mix
was
them
the
all
chai.
together.
Mhm.
The second was the chai.
Yeah,
Mm.
we've all had
Wow.
very different.
Outstanding.
Right, next course.
One,
That was some dinner.
Wow.
one more question. What's the time? Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Okay, maybe two.
That's
Two.
Oh, what's
actually
great!
true.
What's great about this is that also usually when you eat something this sweet, you just feel your teeth start to dissolve. But of course, xylitol does the reverse of that. It's actually
Cleaning.
kicking, starving.
And
all
if
the
I had
bacteria.
eaten this much real, just
Yeah,
store bought ice cream, I would be like this right now.
Pick
Yeah.
your head up.
Yeah.
Hold his head up.
Yeah.
I would be this slow, literally. I'd be like, yeah, literally.
feeling
I would be, I'd be a sugar high. My blood sugar would be spiking, and I'd just be like,
Yeah.
I need a
You'd
nap.
feel it.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Whereas all the moment you got some very busy chylomicrons.
Yeah, they're so busy. My little boats are just shuttling.
Smashing into your arteries and killing you. Yeah.
All right. Questions. We need keto ice cream in grocery stores. Yes.
Yes.
Carrie's going to make some for everybody. for
Carrie,
whole
is the
nation.
key to
Oh.
yours not being rock solid is vodka.
No, there's no alcohol in it.
Somebody said that the other day, and I was like, I'm pretty sure she
No.
doesn't put vodka in there.
It doesn't work. It's a myth. It's a myth put about by people that drives me completely mad. It works with real sugar. It does not work with sugar alcohols. So stop putting vodka in your erythritol-based ice creams. It will not make it soft.
Well, unless you're making vodka flavored ice cream.
It will not make it soft. So I actually made, because people were driving me mad. So I made I made 4 batches of dirty hippie ice cream, all with different sugar alcohols, and to prove to people that this stuff doesn't work. And in one of them, it was made with erythritol, which freezes like a rock. And I put half a cup of vodka, like not a teaspoon, half a cup of vodka. It was still frozen solid. So if you see anywhere where someone says, oh, just add vodka or alcohol and your erythritol ice cream will be fine, don't.
it won't be fine. It won't make any difference whatsoever.
Antifreeze.
Don't waste your vodka.
But you'll be able to set your ice cream alight.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll have to in order to get it out of the container because it will freeze like ice.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Yes,
'cause
just
I've-
wanted to clear
yeah,
that up.
I've seen that. I don't know how many times.
Don't waste your vodka. It doesn't work.
Carrie's a
Oh,
little
yeah,
triggered
that would
about the
be
vodka
wasting
thing.
Yeah,
the-
yeah, I'm triggered. Yes.
So do you know why I'm triggered?
It's a waste of vodka.
Wasting perfectly good
That would
vodka.
trigger
No,
me.
I'm triggered because my role in life is to help people be successful in the kitchen and not to waste a bunch of time and money making stuff that doesn't work. So when people perpetuate this myth that putting vodka
Yeah.
will
Well, yeah.
change it,
Add that
just
to
I'm
the
like,
list.
stop it. No, it doesn't.
Add that to the list.
All right, lower legs. Oh,
We got lower leg questions. Connie is, and actually there was another one earlier that I missed about restless legs. My lower legs have been tingling for 3 weeks. Keto since February, 32 pounds lost. Any reason for this tingling? And there was another question about restless legs earlier.
Salt plus magnesium.
So yeah, you probably need more salt. You might need some magnesium. If that doesn't resolve the issue, you probably should go see your doc because there may be some other things going on. Definitely keto is not causing that. I've had multiple patients in my clinic personally who I've seen whose neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, or just neuropathy of age gets significantly better when you're eating super low carb. I've seen that multiple times in my practice, and I've never seen anybody have neuropathy or tingling in their feet get worse with keto. So more salt, add some magnesium. If that doesn't resolve it, go see your doctor. Something else is up.
I think Dave Feldman, when he doesn't have a surprising amount of salt, sometimes he gets that tingling in the legs, or sometimes then sometimes cramp, and it's more salt than he sometimes, than your average doctor would want you to have. But if that's what it needs, that's what it needs.
So be generous with the salt and the ground pepper on your steak before you grill it. And then have the salt shaker on the table and enjoy your medicine.
Don't be afraid of salt.
Good salt, though, not
all right.
umbrella salt.
All right, I think I don't see any more questions. It won't let me scroll up very far. So, final words of wisdom, Sodfather. Give us something that we can use on a Thursday night to improve our lives.
Well, don't be afraid of animal products in your diet. I think one line that we can all take is there's no essential nutrient in the human diet that can't be supplied by animal products. If you can eat plant products and enjoy them and they don't cause any, fine, that's wonderful. But don't be afraid of them, and to feel confident about buying whatever you can afford, however, to know what to eat in order to get your health restored. And there's wonderful expertise available to help with specific issues. There's a lot of books here that are available now that weren't available when I got started in all this. There's just so much more information. And when it comes to ruminants, the thing I want people to know about is there wouldn't be modern humans if there weren't ruminants. That our modern societies wouldn't exist without them. And as we look at a growing population around the world, we won't be able to feed humanity in 2050 without ruminant animal agriculture. And all those statements fly in the face of people who really don't want you to restore your health. So don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Ken,
So
final thoughts for Thursday night.
your doctor is not evil. Your doctor is not part of a conspiracy. Your doctor is just very busy and is very behind in his reading. Okay. If your doctor is worried about total cholesterol, he's about 10 years behind. Okay. 10 years. Yeah.
40.
Yeah. At least 10. If your doctor's still worried about LDL cholesterol, he's about 2 or 3 years behind. Okay, right? So, but if your doctor's worried about your A1C and your C-peptide and your insulin metabolism,
He's 10 years in the future.
then he's up to date. Okay, so don't be afraid to talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid to ask your doctor about this stuff. You might be surprised your doctor knows about keto, but many doctors are afraid to talk about it because they're afraid they'll get in trouble with their state medical board. But when it's just you and the doctor in the room, you can ask your doctor anything, and if you can't, then you need to find a new doctor. But this is your one body and your one life. If you take bad medical advice and it destroys your health, you can sue everybody and win. You still lost your health, right? Eat your meat. Neisha?
Yes, Neisha. Final thoughts for Thursday night.
Make sure you buy Carrie's ice cream book, obviously. Because
Are
There it is.
Are you,
There it is.
are you converted now?
this is like, it tastes like regular ice cream, only I don't have to feel guilty about it, and it actually tastes better because it's homemade. It's more like gelato, honestly, than ice cream because the flavors are so bold and creamy, and oh my gosh, just buy the book. Just buy it. You're welcome.
Mr. Mailer.
Well, my favorite is always what the logical positivist said: the verification is creed, which is the meaning of a statement is the method of its verification. And you muse on that, that solves a lot of problems. So yeah, the meaning of a statement is the method of its verification. Otherwise, it's what they call metaphysical nonsense or poetry. And so just be careful that you're not being given a lot of metaphysical nonsense or poetry in the lab or the kitchen or wherever else.
That was so deep.
And
I was hoping you would say fart again.
Yeah.
and
German for travel.
I'm going to challenge you to swap out 4 pieces of your plastic in your house for glass
Please.
this week.
Yes.
You don't have to do it all at once because buying Pyrex can get spendy, but just do a few at a time.
Or ceramic.
Or ceramic, yeah. Pick some of your plastic storage stuff and get rid of them and replace them with something non-plastic. That's your challenge for this week. And with that,
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's great. Final word.
we love you.
Good health.
Goodbye from middle of nowhere, Connecticut.
Sei gesund.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Happy to say.
Bye.
Cheers.
I thought you were gonna say from middle